Let this be known. What is it? About 98, 99 days until Alabama kicks off. You are playing a very, and I mean a very dangerous game by doubting Nick Saban. We got them right where we want them. The past couple of weeks, what have we been talking about? What have we been looking at? All these new post-spring top 25 rankings. By this point in time, we've taken a look at so many different rankings, and they all have one thing in common. What is that one common denominator? Well, most people have Alabama outside the top 5. Me, myself, you're entitled to your own opinion, but me, myself, I find that laughable and comical. You want to know why? Because may I remind you, Alabama just brought in the best recruiting class of all time in the history of the sport. But whoa, hold on. Let me also remind you, last year, that quote-unquote terrible year, Alabama still won 11 games. In last year's quote-unquote down year for Bama, the 2 losses were on last-second plays to really good teams. In Alabama's quote-unquote down year last year, they destroyed the Big 12 champion, and they still finished the season as a top 5 team in the country. I'm telling you, I'm warning you up front. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. Do not fall into Nick Saban's trap. He has everybody right where he wants them, and if you think otherwise, you're a straight-up idiot. I've seen this story before. We're going to talk all about that in today's video. We also have 2 other, I'm not going to say minor topics. These are really intriguing topics, including we got an update on the NCAA college football game that's coming out next year. And when I say we got an update on the game, no, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you the game's coming out. We already know that. There's something about the game that I want to share with y'all. And the other topic we're going to speak on is the breaking news came out that Georgia landed the #1 tight end recruit in the country for the class of 2024. Or did they? Because there seems to be a mix-up here. For those of y'all that don't know what I'm talking about, Landon Thomas was originally supposed to be the quote-unquote #1 tight end, so how is this new guy going to Georgia the #1 tight end? Seems like we got a mix-up on our hands. We're going to try to get to the bottom of it. Hope you guys have a great Friday. Hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend. Hope you do something fun. All right, Matt, blah, 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 sure, crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Seriously, though, is it just me, or did Memorial Day weekend sneak up out of nowhere? I didn't even know it was here until yesterday. I went to Publix, it's a grocery store, and I started seeing all these blue and white cookies. I saw a bunch of 4th of July stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? I was like, oh yeah, it's Memorial Day. Or not Memorial Day, but Memorial Day weekend. You get what I'm trying to say. Try to have some fun this weekend. Be safe as always. First things first, let's talk about this update that's coming to the game NCAA 24. As we all know or should know, the college football game we all loved growing up, it is coming back next summer. Not this summer, next summer. I don't want to talk about it and hype it up too much, but I did find this rather intriguing. The NCAA 24 video game will include the transfer portal. Oh man, I gotta get this game. I'm telling you, when this game comes out, don't call me, don't text my phone, don't check on me. As a matter of fact, if you notice we don't post a video for 2 months, just mind your business. This college football game is going to be so awesome. There is a limitless amount of video ideas we can come up with. Here's all I'm going to say about this. If I'm playing Dynasty mode and an opponent's team I'm playing, their quarterback throws for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, if he's on my team next year, just mind your business. I also wonder how that works, because in the transfer portal, can you use NIL? Like, for example, in the game, are they going to give you $4 million to budget in the offseason to recruit kids? I don't know. That's a completely different conversation for a different day. Let me know your thoughts down below on that. Moving along here to our second topic, we got a controversy on our hands. As you can see right here, breaking news came out that #1 tight end recruit Jaden Riddell has committed to Georgia. Big time pickup. Awesome for Georgia fans. Normally, I wouldn't talk about this, but for those of you that keep up with the recruiting trail, you would know that Jaden Riddell is not the #1 tight end in the country. It was widely known as Landon Thomas. Like it says right here, LMAO, Landon Thomas is the #1. Shaking my head. They're just going to say #1 for every Georgia commit. A lot of Florida State fans and college football fans in general are saying, well, what are you talking about? Landon Thomas committed to FSU. He's the #1 tight end. This comment says it the best. We got to be clear on who the #1 players are at each position, because I swear there's 3 #1s at every position. That being said, Georgia is ridiculous with tight ends, and I agree. I also agree with the first part. It seems like there's always 5 #1 running backs, 5 #1 wide receivers, and 5 #1 quarterbacks, and so on. I'm going to break this down for you. Actually, matter of fact, I'm scrolling along here. I just saw this, and it gives you a great explanation. Jaden Riddell is the #1 tight end according to On300 rankings. Florida State commit Landon Thomas, which is widely known as the #1 tight end in the country, That is on other recruiting websites. So when people are saying that Jaden Riddell is the number one tight end, that's only according to On3. But for Landon Thomas, he's the number one tight end on every other website. So that's the confusion on that, and I do want to clarify. But regardless, who cares? At this point in time, Georgia seems like tight end university. Or maybe they're not. I'm having some recency bias. But in the past couple of years, they've had some monsters. Who would be tight end university now that I think about it? Would it be Notre Dame? I think so, right? Rather less, the rich get richer. Georgia, congratulations on another big pickup. What a time to be a Georgia fan. What a time. I would love to talk about that some more, but we got to get a move on to the main topic of Man Encore. The main reason you clicked onto this video, we got to talk about good old Nick Saban. Good old St. Nicholas. What has he been up to? Well, nothing much. We haven't talked about Alabama football in about 2 or 3 weeks. It's been a minute, but like I like to tell you guys, sometimes no news is good news. The first thing I want to say on this is Nick Saban recently went to Italy and he was getting recognized everywhere. And he even spoke about this. I'm not going to show you the entire interview. I'll just tell you right here. But he stated that people were coming up to him saying, "Roll Tide and go Bama," and stuff like that. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you guys this is the difference from Alabama and every other team in the country, this is what I'm talking about. Alabama just isn't a national brand in the United States. They're worldwide. When you think of college football in a different country, the first team everybody's going to bring up is Alabama. I'll put it this way. I guarantee you if Steve Sarkisian went to Italy, nobody would even say anything about Texas. Whether you like it or not, Bama's on a completely different level when it comes to other countries. Not only does everybody recognize the Alabama brand, but they respect it a ton. And I think a large part and reason for that is Nick Saban, the leader. People love this guy. I mean, what's there not to like? If you don't like Nick Saban, you're just a straight up hater. I did want to share that with y'all because it goes to prove my point. People love Alabama football all over the world. I can't say the same about other schools. Maybe it does happen, but I don't hear about it too often. Here's what I really want to get into in today's video. Everybody's been coming out with these post-spring top 25 rankings for Alabama. And trust me when I say this, nobody was more disappointed in Alabama's spring game than me, myself, and I. I wasn't disappointed in how the team played. I was just disappointed in our quarterback play and our wide receiver play. That's it, but I've already made that clear and known. Even with Alabama not looking so good in the spring game, they're easily still a top 5 team in the country, but coming to find out, I'm one of the very few people who believe that. A lot of these ESPN quote-unquote experts, a lot of these, CBS Sports, ESPN, On3 ranking websites, they came out with their post-spring top 25 rankings, and Alabama is way lower than they should be. And it's not just for one of them, it's every single ranking list. I'm not going to go through and dissect every single list. We've done that enough. I'll just show you this one right here from RJ Young. He has Georgia, Michigan, The Ohio State, USC, Tennessee, Penn State, and Utah ahead of Alabama. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's all I know to say. Now, here would be my question to RJ Young. If Alabama and Utah played tomorrow, who are you picking? If you had to bet your house, everything you own tomorrow on Alabama and Utah, who are you picking to win? I don't think any logical person out here would bet their house on Utah to upset Alabama. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Let me know in the comment section. Now I'm going to ask you again. Same thing. If Penn State and Alabama play tomorrow and you had to bet every single dollar to your name on that game, who are you picking? Once again, I think everybody with a functional brain is picking Alabama. It's a safe bet. It's a great team and program. Same thing with this one. I don't mind Tennessee at number 5, but if you had to bet tomorrow, Alabama or Tennessee, who are you picking? You see what I'm saying? I can do this all day, guys. And the last team I'm going to say is Alabama USC. This might be the easiest one. Nobody's picking USC to beat Alabama. I don't think so. That's just blasphemy and that's just stupid. USC is way too soft. They can't compete in the SEC. I like Caleb Williams. I like Lincoln Riley, but they're soft as cupcakes. So here would be my question to all the people putting Alabama outside the top 5 at 6, 7, 8, or even barely putting them at number 5. Are you ranking them there because you truly believe the field of college football has caught up and surpassed Alabama? Or, and this is a big or, are you ranking them there because this Alabama team isn't as dominant as previous Alabama teams? Are you putting Alabama at number 8 because you're comparing them to previous Alabama teams? You see what I'm saying? I think a lot of people are grading and trying to rank Alabama compared to previous Alabamas. They're not ranking them compared to the field. They're looking at it going, yeah, well, Alabama, they got some question marks. They may not be as good. But when you say they may not be as good, what are you comparing them to? Because even with me being as disappointed as I was in how we played in the spring game, we're still a top 5 team in the country, no debate. I myself just hold Alabama to a high standard like everybody else does. But here's the problem with this. Even the guys in the media who are saying Alabama isn't a top 5 team, They don't even believe it. They don't buy it. The only thing they actually believe is that this Alabama team might not be as good as the 2021 or 2020 Alabama team. But here's what you got to realize, guys. That 2020 Alabama team was one of the greatest teams to ever walk this earth. That 2020 Alabama team had 3 guys alone that probably should have won the Heisman. Mac Jones, Najee Harris, and Devontae Smith, who did win the Heisman. By ranking Alabama outside the top 5, you are falling into Nick Saban's trap, and we see this happen every 3 to 4 years. I honestly don't understand how people don't see this coming from 10 miles away. The best example I can give you, and I give you guys this example time after time, but it's the best one I can use, is 2015. What happened in 2015? That was a year where Alabama had a lot of question marks at the quarterback position. They had 2 guys battling it out, Blake Barnett and Cooper Bateman. Jacob Coker, who wound up leading Bama to the title that year, he wasn't even in the conversation. What happens? The other 2 guys wet the bed, and Coker comes in about the 3rd game of the year against Ole Miss and takes over, and the rest is history. When Alabama lost to Ole Miss in 2015, everybody, I remember it just like it was yesterday, everybody was writing them off. I remember vividly Desmond Howard and Tim Tebow saying the dynasty is over, they're falling off. I remember them saying that right before the Georgia game. Everybody's like, yep, Mark Richt's going to put the nail in the coffin, and we saw what happened. Nick Saban embarrassed Georgia on their home field and led Alabama to a championship with one of his worst teams of all time. I firmly believe that 2015 Alabama team was one of Nick Saban's worst teams. But, and I have a big but, that don't mean they were bad compared to the college football field. They were just bad compared to the Alabama standards. They weren't that talented. All they had was Derrick Henry and one lethal wide receiver in Calvin Ridley. And I love Jacob Coker to death, but let's not sit up here and act like he was some Bryce Young or Mac Jones or Tua Tagovailoa, because he was not that. He was a sound quarterback, very solid quarterback, one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, but he wasn't that talented. My point is, Nick Saban, more times than not, he thrives when he doesn't have his most talented teams. Let this be known. What is it? About 98, 99 days until Alabama kicks off? You are playing a very, and I mean a very dangerous game by doubting Nick Saban. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if this Alabama team wins the title this year. I wouldn't. And I don't even know who's going to be the quarterback, but I'm not worried. Nick Saban and his staff, they'll figure it out. They've been through this before. Let me know your thoughts down below. But